what are the jobs that are most in demand right now?
I would say data, anything data related, retail companies, whatever, mortgage, real estate. Everyone wants that data to hyper-target the customer.
Hi, I'm Moshe Popack and welcome to Common Denominator. Today we speak with Chris Schwenk. Chris is an expert in technology jobs and is the host of the Tech Jobber podcast. Over the past decade, he's helped thousands of people get high-paying jobs in the tech space. He's got outstanding tips to help you land your dream job, whether that's in tech or anywhere else. Where do you think we'll be, humans, AI, in 10 years from now?
Some people have very scary predictions. I think they're going to try to replace a lot of people, and it's going to be too much.
Hi, Chris, and welcome to Common Denominator.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I was kind of catching up on some of your past episodes of last week, and I'm proud to be a member of it.
Thank you. It really gives value to our listeners, so I really appreciate it. So tell me, how is it originally that you got into the tech space and specifically into recruiting?
Yeah, so I've been in the tech recruitment space for a very long time at this point. I got in right before the 2008 crash. So I had about a year of experience then, and that was the first economic, I didn't know anything at that point. And all the clients that we had were mainly financial services. So it was like all the clients that were in the news back then, if you remember, AIG, Goldman, Lehman, all those guys, they were our clients. So I've been in it that long. I've seen the ups and downs. Recently COVID was a major upswing. As far as hiring, it was, with the interest rates being so low, the money was very cheap. And what's the best way to scale is to hire good employees. So people would call me up and say, hey, I need 10 bodies, to a recruiter. It's like, wow, this is unprecedented. And then it took we hit a bit of a brick wall. So in kind of about over half, right before halfway through Biden's term was up, where interest rates started to pick up, suddenly the hiring was drying up. And at some clients we were at $100K a month, just easy. And they just started to take major dips down.
Because I know right around that time also, those couple of years, they were doing SPACs, venture capital, a lot of stuff, a lot of money into the term of art, into tech, right?
Yeah.
Into tech. And then exactly to your point, right, interest rates rose and things changed.
Yeah, well, and if you remember it was funny during COVID, you would see these, 23-year-old girls. I'm a product manager at Meta, and I drink green tea and do yoga, and I make $175K. And all those jobs quickly dried up. So mass layoffs with big tech created kind of like a downstream effect where a lot of people on the market and heavy competition, people were still hiring, there was less, but the competition was fierce. So the job market became just brutal, really. So for me, I was kind of like, I was an individual contributor for a long time, was kind of like top performer. And then, you do that for enough years and you're just kind of like, okay, let me try to start my own thing. So that's what I did. I started right before COVID. Again, it was amazing during COVID. It was an amazing move. And then suddenly, the numbers started to go down. So it was kind of like, what do you do? I'd moved down here at that point. So my core network was all in the Northeast, and I'm from Philly. And I had to make new connections quickly and get my name out there as quickly as possible. So around 2023, I started the short form. Short form videos were kind of all the rage. Everyone's putting that out. I was just like, all right, let's try this. It was good, but it's not an effective B2B conversion tool. Tech executives are not pulling up their TikToks and then calling me to hire people from it. Just not how it was working. So it was good to get exposure, but it wasn't effective really. So I started a podcast because, I knew it was going to be a niche podcast. just in tech. It's called the Tech Jobber Podcast. And it's a way to target my ideal customer. And, that way I can kind of move to the front of the line, because also during COVID, there was an explosion of recruitment companies because everyone was hiring. So now the competition was even higher, and, it's tougher to get in front of these people. So, I thought, let's start a podcast. And, I didn't really care about listenership. I wanted to give my ideal customer the feeling of like, they're the man or woman.
But I like that. I like that idea of a specific niche, and you become, instead of jack of all trades, master of none, right? Specific knowledge, and you come to me, right? You come to me, Chris, and I'll help you with your problem. You need humans in tech, I will get you that. It's kind of the way I think about it, right? The B2B. So I think that's an intelligent. That was an intelligent move. Makes sense.
Well, I was sitting there. I was like, well, who's the Joe Rogan of the tech recruitment space? Like, all right, well, I guess there is none. So why couldn't it be me? So I was like, all right, let's go all in on this. So, as you know, ups and downs in the podcast game. But had some sponsors, and it's been highly effective at converting the people that come on the podcast, because you give them a feeling that they haven't had. They can show off to their old coworkers. They're trying to impress maybe their kids. You get them the short form clips, which a lot of people in tech are not doing that type of marketing for themselves. They have a job, so they're like, why would I get my name out there? Why would I build a personal brand? They don't do any of that. So it's kind of novel to them. And that was kind of my gamble that
and you're finding that because there was always that conversation about building personal brand, you find that is a big value for your business. And I guess trickling down to other business owners, building that personal brand, do you think that it really makes a material difference?
Yeah, I think you have to be intentional with it. I always use the example from South Park, the underpants gnomes, if you remember.
Sure. Yeah.
So their master plan was to steal underpants. Step 2, they weren't sure, but step 3 was insane profits.
Right.
So I think a lot of people just wing it. Oh, start a personal brand. Well, okay, well, how is it? Okay, yeah, I know you think it's going to be great profits, but what's step 2? And you always have to figure out what step 2 is, how you're going to convert that personal brand into money. So basically that's what I've done. I'm using the podcast as B2B outreach and making new clients that way. I'm also getting exposed to their whole network and their peers and other companies that are like them that they know. So highly effective that way. Also building an audience to start a B2C offer where, again, it's very tough to get hired right now. I mean, you have to be a perfect fit for every job. So that's what I help people with now too as well.
And what do you think, what are the jobs that are most in demand right now? Like what area in tech, right? 'Cause the tech umbrella. But.
Yeah, it's a massive umbrella. Yeah. I would say data, anything data related. We've seen how valuable data is. Really the social media companies kind of made everyone realize that like this data is the most valuable resource that we have now. So companies have been scrambling to catch up. Retail companies, whatever, mortgage, real estate, everyone wants that data and to hyper target the customer.
Right, that's to your point, that hyper targeting, right? So if you can make it easier, right, that efficiency, again, down to the KPIs, right? If you can know exactly psychologically or how the customer acts. So just so the layperson that's listening, because I remember, and maybe I've said it on the show or not, I don't remember, I believe it was the video game Call of Duty. And a friend of mine was telling me he met with him and he was explaining he has 40 psychologists, right? Literally on staff full time, figuring out, this is what people do with your data, right? And then they have teams analyzing it, hyper-targeting, right? What is the way that we're going to keep these kids or whoever's playing Call of Duty on the video game longer, right? And it's using AI now, like for instance, Instagram. I'm sure more and more people are telling me that they're scrolling through Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is longer. I saw a stat, 60% of the days in 2024 of your day is on electronics.
Yeah.
Your waking hours, where it was 20 years ago, right? It was nothing. So that is, they're winning, right? They get your data and they're winning just to your point. So you have to be, super intentional to be aware of what's actually happening. And they have billions and billions of dollars behind them. Take your data and you believe you're making decisions. You're not.
Yeah.
And that's why being a critical thinker and understanding, why am I doing this? How do I feel?
Yeah. Right? And TikTok totally changed the game, and all the YouTube, Meta, they're all scrambling to catch up to them, because that was the For You page. Like, the For You page is not necessarily people you follow, it's what they think you want. So they're like brain hacking you. And that's where things kind of get very dangerous, because it's not just stuff that you want to see. It's stuff that's going to keep you on the platform, like you were saying. So stuff keep you on the platform could be stuff that enrages you as well. And you get that dopamine spike.
I know also it's become very important. I work with a lot of different family offices, and they're investing a ton of money in cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. What is the reality about cybersecurity? And then just from a jobs perspective, is there a lot of need for cybersecurity at this point?
Bananas. Like, we talk about tech, you talk about software engineers, data, you talk about infrastructure, cloud, servers, all that stuff. Cybersecurity has just as many different sectors. And, these companies are spending, they don't always spend a ton of money until there's a public hack. Mm. And then it's like, then the CFO and CEOs on the phone you just write, for these cybersecurity companies, it's just a blank check, basically. Fix this. I don't know what's going on, just fix this. So yeah, massive need, tons of different industries. I was just talking to, there's some people that, it's called a penetration tester. I was just talking to this guy yesterday. He makes $250,000 to just try to hack into systems. Right. At like a couple hours a week, he has multiple jobs. He's probably making $750,000 to $1 million. Amazing. As a 40-hour employee, like, it's crazy. With no pressure of an entrepreneur either. So it's like, that's what I tell people about some of these tech jobs. Because some entrepreneurs are like, all right, this guy's making 200, okay, with bonus and equity, yeah, 350. I'm like, yeah, but he also is done at 5. Mm. When were you done? Well, I'm never done. Okay, so there's that. Also, he has, when he's done at 5, he has evenings. Mm. What does he want to do? Okay, maybe he coaches his kids' team. Maybe he is someone that, I'm sure you've had people that have done the whole run boring businesses, the laundromats, all that stuff, real estate hustlers. You can do anything with that 5 to 9 time. Sure. So, and eventually replace that 250, and then you're good to go. Yeah.
Talking a lot about coming back to office. What are you seeing in reference to the tech space? Let's say Fortune 500, are companies demanding the tech employees to come back into the office?
Yep, hybrid. So, I think it's not really a conspiracy theory, but a lot of the financial services companies own the leases on some of those office buildings. Mm. So when these companies that are paying those leases are just like, we're breaking this lease. Like, well, no, we're going back. So you have to bring your people back, and now you have to pay the lease. So I think that was a big driver of it. Interesting. But yeah, financial services, it's always hybrid, 2 days, but they'll make you show up because they want those office spaces to be somewhat used. Now, a lot of times people are going there and they're sitting on Zooms all day. It's like, why did I commute an hour in to sit on a Zoom all day? But it's the fact that they're there, so they're going to force you to pay the lease.
I'm going to go further on your conspiracy theory.
Oh, okay.
You ready? So I've said that 70% of worldwide wealth is in real estate. That's what it is, right? So the real estate people, right, own these buildings, and they don't want to have a bloodbath.
Right.
So then they have other business ventures and things, and they're putting the pressure to get the people back. But we are a social being, and there is, I'm not saying necessarily in tech, but in general, to collaborate. That idea to be together socially probably advances, the performance in general of the company. But take us behind the scenes, like from a logistical perspective of what you do. So someone calls you and they're like, I need these positions filled.
Yeah.
How do you actually go about that? Because I know I'm constantly calling recruiters, and I'm so blessed, actually, the recruiters in the real estate space, that they found me some amazing talent. So I'm very lucky.
Is it real estate agents you recruit for?
It's real estate management. So we buy investments and we manage property.
Gotcha.
So I'm very happy that I was able, through recruitment, to get good people. So let's say clients would call you, and I want to find talent.
Yeah, well, it's very difficult in the tech space because it's going to be a lot different than real estate management. Because in the tech space, you could fake your experience, you could fake the interview, and basically, because some of the work can be done more cheaply offshore, but an onshore resource commands higher dollars. So if it's all in the same, they would have a front man onshore, have the offshore people do it for $10 an hour, and then the rest would, some of these jobs pay 100, 150, 200 an hour. And so you become partial detective because you have to snuff out people that are fakes, and they're constantly moving the goalposts. They're constantly getting better techniques. Obviously with ChatGPT could be, okay, you're taking a Zoom, but on this side is ChatGPT kind of answering the questions. So it becomes very difficult. And it's a lot of LinkedIn. So I'm doing a lot of LinkedIn investigations, and pretty much I would say if they're references, it's all in the references. So they'll say, Joe Smith's my reference. Here's his number. I'm like, I'm not going to call it. Like, I don't call any references because it's going to be your friend. I don't email. That's not a company email. Like if you give me a Gmail, that's a reference, like you're out. So it comes down to if someone on LinkedIn that has their photo and their, experience on there is willing to lie in the messages there, then like, okay, you got me. But if not, then like that's the bar. So every tech recruiter has had that where a fake person has showed up. The client calls you day 2, like, yo, this guy doesn't know anything. Get him out of here. And I'm like, where did we mess up here? So it's very high stakes because then, like I said, these clients you can make $100K to $1 million a month casually for a really good client, for some of the best ones. But you have enough of those, you put an imposter in, there's 200 recruiting companies like knocking at the door trying to get in, so they're just going to replace you. So the stakes are very high. So I do a lot of that type of stuff. So a lot of investigations. Yeah,
it's. I know my son was telling me about like on dating apps. He's like, you'd be surprised because you mentioned about like LinkedIn, that their whole profile. You meet them, it's completely fake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's completely fake. So just to your point on investigation, right? So it's like what are we dealing with?
Right. Well, when I was single a couple of years ago, you'd always have to check their Instagram.
Right.
And then you'd see, okay, this looks legit.
Right.
So same process, right?
Right. He was telling me that. It's like, what would you say is the top 3 things, as like, in other words, if I'm going for an interview for a job, that I should do, that's good practices. like best practices as interviewing for a job?
Yeah, definitely walk through the resume and have your resume and job description right there, and just start. Okay, well, this is very high in the job description. Let me just kind of refresh my memory on some of that stuff. But walk through your resume and kind of get it down like a routine. I talk about like kind of make it like a Dave Chappelle routine. Okay, then I did this. Here was our key achievements. Make sure you're not rambling about it, because if you don't practice it out, it's just not going to think like I did it every day. It's going to come easy, but it might not. You're probably going to have to think about things. You want it to just be natural. So that's thing number one. I would say if you can do a mock interview, one thing I do with all of my coaching students is I take someone that is in their field and I just have this hiring manager just run them through the gamut. And then afterwards, it's like you're breaking down the film. It's like, this was good. You rambled here. What was this? Your answer was way off here. You got to brush up on this. So when they go in there, after that, most people don't get that. It's either you got the job or you didn't. You don't know what you did well and what you didn't do well. It's just like, what happened? Well, you were weak on this. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So I like to do one of those with people. And then really the biggest hack that I can say, if you can get it, you can't always get this, but if you know who the hiring manager is you're going to be interviewing for, try to contact someone on their team and say like, hey, I'm talking to your boss, like, help me out. Like, I don't need all the questions, but it could be a military guy who wants things very tight.
Right.
Could be a woman that is in her, horoscopes and she wants you to kind of elaborate on things. Like you have to, if you know that and you're just aligned with the manager like that, and it's down to you and someone else, then I like your chances.
I like that idea, because I remember when I was much younger, they said, okay, you want to get to really connect with this person. It's always like the doorman and the driver, right? It's like there's people that, because we're all just people, right? Mm-hmm. And just find the person that will give you a little edge, a little insight onto, into things. But let me ask you this: where'd you come up? Because I love that the Tech Jobber podcast, right? It's like quirky but yet funny.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, well, I needed a gimmick. There's actually a lot of tech podcasts, which I had no idea about. I didn't think there was any interest in it. So I had to come up with something, and I had a championship belt from like being a top performer. They gave me that a couple years ago. So I was like, all right, I can integrate the belt, tech jobs, tech jobber. Jobber's like a wrestling term. I have the wrestling belt. So at least it's something that would stand out a little bit. So that was kind of the thinking, it kind of pigeonholes me a little bit. But kind of wish maybe I went a different route sometimes, but I think it does stand out at least. So I do like it that way.
Well, tell me, because it comes up a lot and we're having conversations everywhere I'm going, where do you think we'll be with regard to AI, humans, AI in 10 years from now?
Yeah, in 10 years, some people have very scary predictions. I think they're going to try to replace a lot of people, and it's going to be too much. And then they're going to swing back to the employees a bit. I think you're going to feel some more pain this year. They're going to keep trying to replace people. We can do more with less. And eventually some companies are going to be kind of the guinea pigs that are going to get slaughtered. And they're going to have to try to rehire the people. It's going to be a mess because I think things move faster these days. So like you could succeed fast, but you could also fail very fast as well. And I think that's going to happen. It's going to scare companies back, say, okay, whoa. Okay, maybe we'll pull back a little bit. Obviously, you have to be comfortable with the tools and use it to enhance your skills, whatever they are. But like I was talking about the data fields, AI is great, but it's great because someone has put in good data. So who does that? data engineers, data analysts, data scientists. So I don't see those guys going anywhere. I did see kind of a rise about 2 years ago. ChatGPT came out, everyone freaked out. There were prompt engineering jobs, and then they totally went away. So don't think you're gonna, I make the best prompts. Like, listen, that's gonna be everyone soon.
Chris, what is something that you're grateful for today?
I would say I'm grateful to live in this city, in Miami. I think, I talk to a lot of young guys and like kind of counsel them, and I just tell them just to jump in the deep end and move here. And a lot of them are just like, it costs so much, and like I totally get that, but I think what you get, the access you get to people, and I came from Philly, versus here, it's a different mindset, it's a different way of thinking, and I'm grateful just to kind of absorb it, because it's taken me kind of to some amazing places. So I would say take the risk, find a way to pay the rent. It's gonna get a roommate or whatever, but don't just come and party. Be around the right people, and it'll change your thinking. And I think that's the easiest way to kind of level up your life, really.
Sure. And what would you say is the common denominator of founders or employees that you find that have success in the tech space?
Yeah, I think my big thing is with careers, you could treat it like a job, or you could treat it like a business. Like, it's your business. And if you're not learning, like entrepreneurs, it's like all the stuff that they do, the marketing knowledge, sales knowledge, personal brand. When you put all that stuff into a career like tech, it just sets you apart so much. So I would say, it's the people that are treating it like that.
Yeah.
If you treat it like a job, then great. You can treat it like you're pumping gas.
Yeah. My employees know that I always say the word care. That's the differentiation. But do you care or do you not care?
Right.
Truly. And it'll all be, since everything's open, it'll be known. Right? So to your point, I really want to thank you. This has been really informative. How can people listen to your podcast, find you on social, maybe take your coaching class?
Yeah, so Tech Jobber podcast on all platforms. YouTube's my big one. And Chris Delos Staffing, that's my main Instagram. And reach out if you're looking for a better tech job. That's what I do. I'll give you a 20-30% raise, and I'll work with you until I do. So I want to do it as fast as possible. Trust me.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. Hope you enjoyed my conversation with Chris. If you haven't already, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribing ensures you never miss an episode, and it helps us continue to bring you meaningful conversations that make a difference. Thank you for being part of our growing community. We couldn't do this without you. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon.